Yo, what is up? It is your boy Sleepy as Hell. But what is new? I'll tell you what's new. What's new is this interview with Reno614 that you're about to check out because you're awesome. That's what's happening. We talk about comics. We talk about growing up in Indonesia. We talk about a lot of cool stuff. We talk about superpowers. You feel me? So you definitely want to be checking this out. If you are here, I do not want you to like or subscribe until you've actually watched slash listened to the interview and actually enjoyed it and actually liked it. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it right now. So first and foremost, we'll just do a little introduction. Like, tell us what's your name, where you from, what do you do, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, my name is Reno, and I guess I was technically born in Columbus, Ohio, but I grew up in Indonesia for 17 years.
Oh,
So I
small world.
spent 17 years in Indonesia and then moved back to the United States in 2019. So been here for about 2
Oh
years.
wow, nice. And you're about like 19, right?
I turned 20 in 2 hours, actually.
Oh really? That's
Yeah, yeah.
crazy.
Yep,
That's
August
so
20th.
funny. That's crazy. My dad's the 28th, funny enough. It was like a little
Oh,
week,
wow, nice.
like a week off.
Yeah.
That's dope. All right, cool. So where did your name come from actually?
So Reno is obviously my like first name. Um,
Oh, okay.
which is like so I go by Reno614 and 614 is the Columbus area
Area code.
code.
That's what I
So
figured, yeah.
I was yeah, so I was kind of like like I kind of want to do the area code name. 614 kind of has like a ring to it, I thought. So I was like I'm gonna go with Reno614. It was my grandpa's nickname. His full name was Goreno,
Okay.
and
Oh, got you.
so everyone just called him Reno. And so then I got that name from my great grandfather. So
Nice. That's dope. That's dope. So how did you so what's your origin story when it comes to making music and stuff? Like how did that happen?
yeah. So, it's kind of like, so I started off like creatively in making videos. I started with like making YouTube videos with one of my buddies. His name was Rio, over in Indonesia, and he started getting into making music, and we had a school studio that we were allowed to
Okay.
use. Really nice studio, nicest studio I've ever seen so far. Um, but the requirement was you needed another student in there for accountability. It was like private Christian school, high school. So you needed another student at least in there. And so me and him would make videos and he was
Gotcha.
like, "Hey man, can you hang out in here? You can do your schoolwork, you can play video games, do whatever. Hang out in here um while I like make music." I'm like, "Yeah, sure, that sounds cool." And so I'm like chilling there like day after day, every day after school. And at one point, I was
Right.
like, I kind of want to try this. Like, this seems cool. That was like about 2017, beginning of the school year. Like about a month in, I was like, all right, I want to try this. So he gets me, totally the real version of FL Studio. Fully real, fully paid
Nice.
for. Yeah, no, but so then I like started making beats, and I would like start a beat and be like, nah, this is trash, go on to the next beat. So I think by like the first month, I had made like 200 beats. None of them were good.
Shoot. Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
all right,
It'd be like that.
maybe this like beat making thing isn't for me. But then I come back to America for about 2 months and I asked for like a mic and like sound system for like Christmas. So I get a mic, some headphones, and like this like audio interface. And so that's kind of like what I roll with for like the next 4 years. I think 2018 to
Oh,
2021. So 3 years. I'm rolling with it. Actually, I like switched my studio stuff last week, but and so I just kind of like
nice.
I would like have these like stretches of time where it was like it usually happened like January to summer, where I would be like, all right, I'm back into music. I'm doing music this time. I'd like make songs, I'd release them, and then be like, oh no, I don't like them. I started off under the name Mask Boy, kind of like like edgy, like I like cover my face and cover my feelings. Um, and so, but then in 2019, I stopped making music. I moved back to America, just stopped for like a year and a half, And I was living with a couple buddies who used to make music as well, and his mom got him like a studio monitor for Christmas. And you know how parents always are
Okay.
like, they like get you stuff you're used to be into, and you're like, oh well, like what do I do with this now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and so we were like sitting there like with a $350 studio monitor, and we're like, what do we do with it? Like this is nice, but we don't make music anymore. So we're like, all right, let's go in. So we bought the other studio monitor. We bought the mixer, and then we're like, we started making music again. It was really cool. And then we're like, all right, you know what? Let's start a record label. So we started a record label, and I don't I know I own the record
Oh yeah,
label
you did tell me
alone
that story.
now, but yeah, so that's kind of like how I happened to
Yeah.
like get where I am now.
So the what's the focal point really of your music? Like, what do you like focus on in terms of getting out to your listeners, to your audience?
Yeah. So I like writing like stuff that's like going on in my life right now, you know?
Okay.
For most of my songs. Sometimes I'll have like a fun song and you'll definitely be able to tell that it's like a fun song because it'll reference drugs and I don't do drugs. So it's like if there's like talking about
Gotcha.
drugs, it's not a serious song.
Gotcha.
Um, but a lot of like mental health, that's something I've like struggled with a lot in the past, is a lot of mental health. A lot of
Mm,
like girls, a lot of heartbreak songs.
okay.
And so it's kind of like, it's like what's happening in my life, but it also is like usually delayed by like 2 or 3 months. So like I'll drop a song and be like, yeah, like this doesn't apply to me now, but it applied to me like 3 or 4 months ago when I wrote it and recorded it, and then I've been like mixing, mastering it. So, um, yeah, so a lot of it's just like what's
Right.
going on in my life, and so a lot of it is like mental health stuff and girls. That's what it is 99% of the time.
Right.
But I do try to like focus on like positive things sometimes as well, like or like what are like some cool things happening in my life, because I feel like that's like something that's like missing a lot in music, especially at
Yeah.
least in like the music I listen to, where it's like I'll be clicking through my playlist because I only have one playlist of like 40 hours long, and it's like sad song,
Yeah.
sad song, sad song, drugs and money, but I like that's not what
Right.
I want out of my life. So it's like how like what kind of songs can I make that like people would like listen to, be like, man, like I want a life like that, and it'd be like a helpful
Mm.
life, like a life that's like worth living. So that's kind of like what I like to focus on in my music.
So I was actually gonna ask you, what are your influences when it comes to music?
Yeah, definitely like stylistically, a lot of NF and Whit Lowry. Um,
Okay.
they play like, cause like those are kind of the guys I got into music first. Whit Lowry was the first
Mm.
rapper that I listened to that cussed because I grew up in like a Christian household. So it was like Whit Lowry was my
Okay,
first
gotcha.
step into like the cussing scene, because I think I started off on like
Right,
Lecrae,
like the secular.
but then it was
Yeah.
like Whit
Oh yeah, me
Lowry.
too. Legit.
Whit Lowry was my first like step into that, and I still like love Lecrae and I love like KB, but like
Yeah.
NF and Whit Lowry have been like my biggest, like year after year. They're my top three most listened artists every year since I started listening to them in 2016. Um, but definitely Peep has a big influence as well. Um, almost as
Okay.
like like not so much sound wise. There's a little bit of sound wise Peep. But definitely like how I like present myself and look is like definitely like heavily Peep inspired. Um,
Gotcha.
so I'm kind of like trying to like bridge those like two like kind of almost subgenres of music, like emo rap and basically like white boy rap, and like how do I like
Right.
kind of like merge those? And so that's kind of like where I take my like influences from.
If I was if I was a new fan of Reno, right? And I was wondering what kind of what is it that you had to offer to me? Like
Hmm.
what would you tell me? Like
Okay, yeah,
yeah.
that's a good question. I think I think like the biggest right now. I think it's like that's like a hard question to answer because like in my mind I have all this unreleased stuff that is like this is what I have to offer. Like this stuff's better than I have. But right now, honestly, a lot of it's like deeper lyrics, deeper meaning, like heartfelt like songs. Kind of songs that you like listen to and be like, man, like I kind of feel that, or like you're like, oh shit, yeah, that's me. Definitely like some heartbreak songs. And so it's kind of like you like can listen to it and be like, yeah, like that's me. Like at least like, one line from each song, you're kind of like, oh
Gotcha.
yeah, that's me.
Hmm.
And so like I kind of offered like, like I mean like you send me a DM and you're not trying to like get me to buy streams off you, I'm gonna answer it,
Right.
Like I'll talk to you like, no matter what. And so it's like, like I like want people to like come join me and like build with me as I like build up in music and like, I want to be like I think like with like um,
Hmm.
Matthew Tuck, who like we were just on that retreat with, like I followed him back
Right.
in like 2017, which is when I sent him his first DM, and he still answers me. It's like I want
Yeah.
fans like that. I want fans that are like, they send me a DM in 5 years, and it doesn't matter how many plays I got, like their DM pops up, I answer them. It's like I don't care how
Gotcha.
much like clout you got, how much like followers you got, or like if you have anything to offer me, it's like, if you stick around, you're like a fan, and I fuck with that.
Yeah. But yeah, so what are your future plans in terms of music and also non-music wise?
Yeah. So I actually have this like list of music goals. We'll start with music. I have like this list of music goals. Some of them kind of serious, some of them kind of not. It's like, oh, I want to like work on a song with a beat from Dan Haynes, which is like Will Lowry's producer. I want a song with Will
Okay.
Lowry. I want to like get a Tommy
Hmm.
Profit, which is NF's producer. Like I want to beat from
Yeah,
him. I
and
want
that's
to
producer.
I want to like be on a song with NF, or I want to go on tour with NF. Like shit like that. But then there's like
Hmm.
I want to get a Nardwar interview. Like I want this man to tell me things I don't even know
Yeah,
about
bro.
myself.
Yes.
I like I have like those silly goals. It's
Yes,
like
bro.
but there's a
Hell
couple that
yeah.
like really stand out. One is like dropping my first album, which I'm working on right now. But there is this future album that's like kind of like my dream album. Like I'm gonna make it someday, but I do want to build a following first. And that premise of the album, it's gonna be called like Ballads of the Brokenhearted, and it's basically
Mm.
like me telling the stories of people who've like gone through hard things, whatever it be. Whether it be like poverty, like abuse,
Mm.
like anything like that. It's like something that they feel like they need shared to like help others, and like I have that platform to do it. So I really want to do that album. That's like my dream album,
Okay.
and that's what I'm shooting for. Is to like do that album to like kind of like tell the stories that aren't told, so people can kind of like feel represented. Like listen to music and be like, "Wow, this is like my story." And um, so that's definitely like a big one for me. In music, like I do want to make an impact in music. I want to my music to do things that like what Lowry and NF's music did for me. Kind of like got me through those hard times.
Mm.
Because it's almost like I'm not alone type
Right.
thing. So that album is like really what I want that. Um, Life goals, like I'm like right now I'm really banking on music for the next couple months. So right now like my life goals are like music.
Okay.
Um, but that's definitely like probably gonna change as like I grow older because I'm turning 20. I do like I'm aiming for a family. I'm aiming for like kids, and like I need a way to support that in case the music doesn't work. So
Right.
I'm aiming to become a teacher, which is
Okay.
like the main reason I don't have face tats yet. I told myself $5 million in the bank, and I'm getting face tats. Um, and so yeah, I like
Gotcha.
really like care about like children and like kind of like leaving an impact for those. And I think about all the teachers in my life who've had like a big role in my life, and I like want to do that as well. If it's not in music, I want it to like be teaching. So that's kind of like my like life goal. If it isn't music, that's where I'm going. But if it is music, that'd be great.
So, if you had the option to gain three superpowers, what would they be?
My default answer to this question is always the ability to
Hmm.
control probability would be my superpower.
Okay.
It's like, oh, the probability of like me getting $1 million when I walk out of the house today is 100%. Walk out of the house, get a million
Hmm.
dollars. That's my normal answer, but that also answer like kind of covers everything. Like whatever I want, I can have. I honestly think it's like I like pick up projects really quickly, and
Hmm.
it's like because I like did YouTube videos for a while, and then I'd be I've started like
Okay.
multiple books. I've tried to make comics. I've like done all these things, and I think like, but then I
Right.
always like give up when I don't succeed. And so music's like the passion I've like followed the most, but there's all these other things that like I wish I had succeeded
Hmm.
at. And I think that like goes for like a lot of my life where it's like, oh, I wish I had like been able to do this. And so like with that probability thing, I'm like, oh, I could do that. You know, like the probability of waking up on time for work every day and not being tired, 100, perfect. That's great. Like I don't like lose jobs because I sleep in, and like that's something I like, struggle with and like feel bad about, the fact that I lose jobs all the time. And so I think like being able
Right.
to like not fail, I think it's a fear of failure and like a like desire for like success. So if
Right.
I like got rid of that one, it would definitely be
Okay.
um definitely like flying. I think flying would be super cool. It's something I've always wanted since I was like a little kid. It's like if I could just fly to America and like see my family,
Yeah.
that'd be great, you know? Like I don't need to like take an airplane, and I don't need to like pay thousands of dollars.
Right.
Like I can just fly there. Perfect. Um I definitely think like this one's gonna be really weird but very specific. The ability to fall asleep when
Okay.
I want to. Um I have
Bro,
like I have like
same, bro.
insomnia,
Same.
and so like
Oh my
I would
God.
I would love for like once in my life to like lay down and sleep, not have to
And
like
just sleep, bro. Oh my God. I feel
not
that
have to
so in my
like
soul.
wait
In
for
my
like
soul.
hours. It's like, oh, I got work tomorrow at 6. All right, if I need 8 hours, I should go to bed at like 10. So to fall asleep at 10, I need to get in bed at like 8. Fuck, it's like, so
Yep.
being able to fall asleep, that's the big one.
Yep.
And I think my third one would be to like have like perfect pitch,
Perfect pitch.
because
Okay.
my pitch recognition is pretty bad.
Yeah, mine
Like
too.
in like human standards, but it's really bad musically. Like I will like anytime like any kind of like song I have has like a melody in my voice. Normally I just stray away from like melodies in my voice at all. Like it's very apparent that there's like
Right.
no melody. It's like this is flow and flow alone. So anytime I have a song with melody in it, I send it out to like my friends in my Discord channel, and I'm like, is this in key? And they're like, no. I'm like, I can't even tell. Like I can't even tell that this isn't in
Yeah.
key. I'm just gonna like
Same.
I'm just gonna auto tune it to be in key and hope that it goes well. So
Right.
yeah, so definitely perfect pitch.
But that's cool. Actually, I'm really interested now to ask you about like the other stuff that you've done. Like, so you say like you've done comics and books and stuff like that, or that
hmm
you've written. When was that? Like, when did that happen?
The comics were really young. I must have been like 8,
Okay.
and I would just draw superheroes and try to make like these cool superheroes. They always looked like trash.
Okay.
Um, and so I
Me
like
too.
I
8 years
like
old.
yeah, I mean that's fair. But I think in my mind I was like, this is trash for an 8-year-old. I don't even want to see him now. But
Yeah.
I always like flip back. No, they're not published, but I always flip back and forth from like perfectionism and like just like letting things go too easy. And so it's always like, oh, like this isn't good enough. I'm like, whatever. I don't even need to make it good. I'll just throw it out.
Got you.
Um, and so like, I would start a book and be like, I would plan out the whole book and start writing a chapter and be like, no, I'm done. You know, and then come back and like replan the book, write 2 chapters and be like, oh, I'm done. So like, there's almost nothing to read besides like the synopsis of the book.
Okay.
Um,
Got you.
but like videos wise, I did like pursue a lot more. So I started videos in 6th grade, um, on this channel called Bob Jones, and those were like really stupid, bad videos. The first, that's when I first started to edit a video. Like the 8th video I made, I edited from
Okay.
20 minutes to 12 minutes. Not not like a good chunk down, and it was
Yeah.
still like really boring, really slow. So then I started a new channel with some of my friends. We made like music videos and stuff like that. And then I started a new channel with my like friend who got me into music, Rio, and we would make like comedy sketches. And then I think I have a gaming channel out there somewhere as well. Like all these channels still
You think?
exist. Um,
That's funny.
but I started this channel with my buddy because we were living in Indonesia, called Orang Sunda Asli, which just means like original like Sunda person. Um, so Sundanese is like the people from like where I lived in Indonesia. And so we started that one, and that one actually like gained quite a bit of traction. Um, a lot of like I think right now we're sitting at 3.5 million views on the entire channel. like 70,000 subscribers. So we did pretty well with that one, but it was like I didn't really care about it, you know? It's
Yeah.
like they were like fun, stupid videos, and I enjoyed like filming the videos, but then like after a while it kind of got tiring spending 2 hours like standing in traffic to like make a video about like directing traffic, you know?
Yeah.
And so like if you look at my follower count, I'm at like 2,600. Like 80% of those are like from that Indonesian YouTube channel.
Mm.
And so, you know, I've taken all these like ventures of like things. And so I think that's part of the reason why like I want to pursue music, because it's like if I can get to a spot where like I can like make music because I love making music. And then like if I'm big enough, I can like kind of like step back and do the other things I want to
Do
do.
other
Like
things. Yeah.
I almost think of like how like the My Chemical Romance lead vocalist, he like wrote Umbrella Academy, you know? Like I would
Mm.
love to do something like that. Like kind of like get to a point where I'm be like, all right, like for the next year I'm gonna write a novel and that's gonna be what I do. And it doesn't matter if it flops. I'm like I'm pretty set, you know?
Still good. Yeah.
So yeah.
That's dope. That's dope. So that was pretty much really all the questions I had for you. I don't know if
Awesome.
you have anything you want to add towards the end, anything you want to say before we head out.
Just that like I really appreciate you giving me this opportunity. I thought your questions really cool, and like they're like special questions. They're cause I'm like oh wow, like I'm gonna remember because this is my first interview, so I'm gonna be like I'm gonna look back and be like, dude, that was my first interview, and he asked me about the superpowers, which is the weirdest interview question I got, you know, and but so I really appreciate you doing this, man. So I appreciate that.
Yo, thank you so much for making it this far into the interview. I really appreciate it. You feel me? If you liked what you heard, what you saw, don't forget liking, subscribing, all that stuff. You know, yada yada, whatever, etc., etc. And I hope to be seeing y'all. Well, I guess I technically won't be seeing you guys, but hopefully y'all be sticking around for the next ones because we got many more coming your way. So stay tuned. And yeah, appreciate y'all. Mad love. We out. Peace.